Hi, everybody. It's Leslie with the New Mexico Small Business Development Center. I'm here with Eric Spellman. And if you haven't checked out any of our series with Eric on demand, please visit our YouTube page, because he has this whole series of webinars he's been doing for New Mexico Small Business Development Center. Such relevant information for small businesses. Today is small business websites, 10 mistakes you must not make. If you have any questions, type them in as soon as you're thinking about it into the Q&A. They'll pick them up right away. And with that, Eric, turning it over to you.
Okay, thank you very much. Well, as always, ask your questions anytime. And like Leslie said, just feel free to do that in the chat box, and I will notice it. I will see it's there, and I will answer it directly. Remember, there is no dumb question. But if you do ask a silly question, I promise I will not humiliate you in front of everybody, but I will humiliate the person sitting next to you. So keep that in mind as we get started on the small business website, 10 mistakes you must not make. So let's dive into it. When we talk about websites, a lot of people ask, Eric, how important is a website? I mean, how, in the scheme of things, based on, there's social media, there's this, there's that, where does a website fall in importance? Well, let me just tell you, it's the highest priority. Your website is basically the one place on the internet where you control everything. It is the one place where you get to say whatever you want, and since it's your property, no one can say otherwise. And so it needs to be the place that people come when they want to learn more about your company, learn more about what you do. Okay? Designing the website is very important, and too many people mess this up. Too many people see a website as simply okay, I'm starting my business. Okay, get a website, check. Okay, you had that built, done, and they move on, and they never think about it again. No, that's not what a website is. Websites matter, and I love this little joke, this little Dilbert cartoon that I found. It just makes me laugh every time. In case you can't read it, the lady says, I need your honest feedback on our website. And the little desk guy goes, the layout looks like a psychopath's photo wall. The colors remind me of toe fungus and despair. She writes down, I'll say it needs work. Then he finally writes, it feels like Satan is licking my brain. That's an awful website. But I'm here to tell you, this cartoon is not too far off. Too many people have websites built that turn off the people they're actually trying to turn on. And we definitely do not want that. So the number one mistake is shoot, ready, aim. That's what I call it. In other words, getting things out of order. A lot of people, they will launch a website without planning. They will just put up a website without thinking. Maybe someone will says, hey, I'll build you a website. And they go, oh, okay. And so someone builds you a website and they never talk to you about it. They just kind of go on your old website, or they get a pamphlet from your company and they build a website based on that. Oh my gosh, do not let that happen. Okay? Because a good website does something, but we'll get to that. Remember, you only get one chance to make a first impression. You only get one chance. And most people don't realize that your website is the first impression. A lot of people think that the first impression of their company is maybe their brick and mortar store. Okay? And so they say, well, when people come in to our store, our actual physical geographical store, that is their first impression, and we need to make that look good. Well, not anymore. You see, if I were to tell you, hey, there is a great restaurant that you need to go visit, are you immediately going to go to that restaurant? No. You're going to Google it. And based on what comes up is going to determine whether you go to that restaurant. And if it looks like it was designed by a 12-year-old, if it looks like it's a fly-by-night, if it's a I'm telling you, people judge you by your website. And we need to have a little serious meeting right now, you and me. And I'm going to ask you a question, and I don't want you to answer it out loud, especially if you're sitting with other people right now. But I just want you to think in your head and be honest. Does your website make your company look bigger than it is or smaller than it is? Are you excited to tell people to go to your website or embarrassed? Remember, you only get one chance. Customers will measure the stability of your company. Be honest, you've landed on websites before and you thought, oh, this looks shady. This looks like it's not on the up and up. I'm going to leave. It looks like it was put up that day and could probably come down that same day. You got to remember the number one barrier to people doing business with you is trust. And a shoddily built website does not create trust. In fact, it goes the other way. Customers will measure the stability of your company. It's kind of like when you pull up to some businesses and they look scary as all get out. And you're like, I ain't going in there. It's the same thing. Your competitors will measure your threat. When competitors go to your website, and yes, your competitors are going to your website, okay? I once had someone say, no, we don't want a website because we don't want our competitors knowing what we do. I'm like, what? You see, your competitors are already looking at you. Your competitors are already going to your website. And trust me, you've been to your competitors' websites, okay? And you got to ask yourself, once again, this serious question. Which website looks more professional? Which website looks like a bigger, more stable, more profitable, more successful company? Which website is easier to navigate? Yours or your competitors? Be honest. I'm not saying you need to start dumping a ton of money on your website, but I am saying you need to spend more money on your website than you're doing now. In fact, the majority of the money that you spend on advertising should be digital at this point. Not radio, not TV, not print. It should be digital. Okay? It's not how much you spend. It's how much you spend strategically. Prime contractors are making RFP lists. In other words, let's say you're a subcontractor. Okay, because people ask me all the time, they say, Eric, well, I am a small business, but I'm a subcontractor. My customer is not like someone who walks into my store. They're not an end user. My customer is another company. I'm B2B, business to business. In those cases, what you're wanting to do is get on what they call the RFP list. Okay. And basically it's a list of people that a company will reach out to when they have a project and they will get it bid. They want bids on it. Okay. And they'll send that out. Well, when a company's trying to decide who the subs are out there, like what are all the available subcontractors, we want to send our request for proposal, RFP. What companies are we going to send this to? They're probably going to hand that to an engineer or even a receptionist and say, go look it up. Go look who does this. And so she or he will Google it and come up with a list and give it to boss. And the boss will then go to these websites and decide, you know what? They don't look big enough to handle this. Or you know what? No. Or they don't mention this. You don't even get an RFP. You don't even get to participate because your website is so bad. You got to realize that the people hiring you will always look at your website before they even pick up the phone. For those of you saying you get no leads from your website, for those of you saying you get no phone calls from your website, you're right, because it's awful. Okay? I'm sorry to be so harsh, but I'm just being honest. And I hope some of you drug your boss into this presentation because really, they're the ones who are going to have to okay on getting it redone. They really are. And by the way, I'm not trying to sell you anything. I don't even build websites. Okay. I'm just trying to tell you how to get it done. There's also venture capitalists. You might be looking for people to invest in you. You might be looking for those investors. Well, guess what the investor's going to do? They're going to go to your website. I'm telling you, the best your company should ever look is on its website. Did you hear me? Because that is the first impression everyone is getting now. Don't mistake me on this. If your website does not represent your company from a professionalism standpoint, to here's all we do. If it's not up to date, if it's not easy to navigate, you're losing business, and you will continue to lose business until you fix it. Your website is like a wagon wheel. It's like the center of that wagon wheel, the hub of the wagon wheel, and everything else comes off of it, all the spokes. Some people are going to come in from social media to your website. Some people are going to come in from this to your website, that from other websites, from search engines, from this, from that, from email. Your website is the center of the universe as it relates to your company. Okay? Don't forget that. And you need to prioritize it accordingly. And if you're a nonprofit, then the people you're trying to impress with your website are donors. And I'll even say volunteers. Okay, donors and volunteers. And I mentioned this last week. Donors, that's really your bread and butter if you're a nonprofit. I mean, if you don't have people donating money to you, you're gone. So you got to realize, and you got to be okay with, the number one goal of a nonprofit website is to seek donors. Okay? Because you can't help your target population unless you have the resources to help them. So the sole purpose of your website is not to reach that target population. They're not even on the internet. They're not even looking. The sole goal of your nonprofit is to reach donors or volunteers, but primarily donors. Okay. I know that sounds so callous and cold and, not very to the spirit of nonprofits. But this is business, people. This is business. And you got to realize as a nonprofit that there's only so many donors in the world. And if you don't get them, someone else will. Every donor's money that they will give to a nonprofit is gonna be given. And you're gonna have to fight for it to be given to you. Number 2, your website doesn't have a purpose. You got to keep in mind that your website must do something. Too many people think that a website is like a billboard, okay? And it's not. It's not like a pamphlet or a billboard. What's the purpose of your website? Well, it's informational. It's to educate people on what we do. Oh my God, that is so 1990s, okay? No, that's not the purpose of a website. It's either going to generate sales, generate leads, generate support for an existing group of customers. That's it. So let's talk more about your website doing something, okay? Your website must do something. What is the do? Well, back in the dot-com days, everyone was putting up a website, and investors were just throwing millions of dollars at websites that had never even sold one product, mainly because they had a website. It was on the internet, and the internet's cool, and the internet's new, and we don't understand it, but it's a good investment, and we're getting 50% returns in a week, and all these, IPOs that are going on in the stock market. And as we all know, that became a bubble that eventually popped. And when it popped, people actually started looking at websites and saying, you know what? We spent $1 million on that website and it didn't make us $1. The purpose of a website is not a billboard. It is not a pamphlet. The other thing to keep in mind about a website is the navigational side of it. Okay. And I like to say the shortest route between A and B is a straight line. And let me put it a different way. I have a little rule called the rule of 3 clicks. I need to be able to get, now listen, I need to be able to get to any page on your website within 3 clicks. Any page. You're saying, why 3? What's the magic of 3? Well, they've done studies. And you got to remember, everyone on the internet has ADD. Okay. We all have a very short attention span on the internet. And we don't have much time. And think about it. When you go to a website, do you read every word on the page that comes up? No, you scan it and you're looking for a word or a phrase that somehow says you're in the right place. And if you don't see that, you're going to hit the back button to go to the next guy. Did you know that 80% of the first-time visitors to your website will never scroll past the first screen of information they see? They will make a sole determination to either stay or leave your website based on what they see in that first screen full. 80% of your first-time visitors. I've got to be able to reach anything on your website within 3 clicks because I will not give you a fourth. How many times have you been on someone else's website and you were looking for something and you go, you know what? I don't have time. And you left. Generate sales. What does generate sales by a website actually mean? Well, I'm talking about products. When I talk about generating sales, I mean that someone can go to that website, use their credit card, actually purchase something, the money goes to you, and then you ship the product to them. Okay. So when I say generate sales, I'm not talking about realtor website. I mean, you can't just buy a house with a credit card on a realtor's website, right? I'm talking about a product. I'm talking like Amazon. I'm talking like eBay. I'm talking selling an actual product. Well, you got to define that product line. You gotta figure out what that product line is, and you got to start thinking about it in terms of the internet because some products are more important than others. I've had a lot of people tell me back when I built websites, they would say, Eric, I have 1,000 products. It's going to take me forever to get those on the internet. And I look at them and I say, why would you put all of your products on the internet? And they go, you mean we're not supposed to? I said, no, of course not. I said, here's what you do. Because you will put off having a website if you have to put all your products on, okay? Because it's just too much, it's overwhelming. So here's what you do. You could have a website up tomorrow with this little bit of advice. You pick the 10 products that you feel will sell best on best are the ones that are the cheapest and you have the most profit margin. You see that again. The ones that are cheapest to ship, but have the lowest or have the highest amount of profit for you. And you know which products those are, your best sellers, the ones where you're making the most money on or keeping the most money on, but are also the easiest to ship. You start with those and you put those products on the website. And then you launch your website. And then you just start adding the other products as you go, but you prioritize them by that. Okay. Don't say, we got too many products to put on. No, no. Also, are you internet priced or regional? I remember one time there was a store here in Amarillo where I live, and it was a little children's clothing store, but it was a high-end children's store. It was a locally owned high-end children's clothing store. And I mean, she got these outfits from like Sweden or something. It was really crazy. Anyway, beautiful little outfits for kids. So this lady came up to me and said, I want a website. And so I built her one. And she put her products on it, you know, and it was one where she could sell them and stuff. And she came back to me a month later and said, Eric, I have tons of traffic. I have tons of people going to my website. Yay, but I'm not selling one thing. And I said, well, let's take a look. Instead of going to her website right away and looking at it because I built it, I kind of know that already. I did a little investigation on her competitors, and it turns out she was charging more than any of our online competitors. And I said, well, here's the problem. You're the highest price. Of course, you're not going to sell anything. People are going online and they're comparing. And she goes, well, no, I'm not changing my prices. I'm not lowering my prices because here in Amarillo, I don't have to. Y'all realize what she just said. She was basically wanting to run business online the way she was running business in Amarillo. And I'm here to tell you, you cannot run your business online the same way you run it locally. She may have been the only high-end children's clothing business that bought them from Sweden here, but not nationally, not internationally. If you're going to start selling your products nationally, then you had better compete price-wise nationally. And you got to figure out, how are you going to compute ROI, return on investment? In other words, before you just suddenly set up shop and start selling products online, you got to recompute what your costs are, the cost of shipping, what the cost of the website is, what the cost of your digital advertising is, all of that. You've got to compute it to make sure that you're actually making money from this, and you're going to have to adjust the prices accordingly. What about generating leads? Because I'll be honest, the majority of you, that's what you're wanting to do. You want people to go to your website and then pick up the phone, call you, and say to you, hey, tell me more. And then you sell them something. The goal of a website in that case, and by the way, you say, well, Eric, no, I want to sell products. Remember, I told you, there is one very easy way to tell whether you're trying to generate leads or generate sales. Okay. The only way you get to say you're generating sales is if people can actually give their credit card number. Okay. On the website. Otherwise, you're trying to generate leads like a realtor, someone who sells houses. They want people calling them is what they want. And so you might represent an industry where you're just trying to generate leads. So the goal of your website, and I mean the sole goal of your website, is to convince them to contact you. And when I say contact you, I mean either email you, pick up the phone and call you, or fill out your little contact us form. And I've talked about this in previous videos. You got to realize that no one is just going to fill out your little contact us form because you asked them to, okay? A person's personal information has a value associated with it. And they're not just going to give it to you, a lead, that's what a lead is. They're not just going to give you their personal information because you asked for it. Why? Because it has a value. And because it has a value, they won't give it to you, but they will trade. They will trade you if they believe they're going to receive something of greater value in return. The actual secret to generating leads is not difficult. You just have to think psychologically. How much information should you ask for? When you're asking for that lead, you should only ask for, in my opinion, about 3 pieces of information. Okay? 3. Email, phone, name. If you want to throw a 4th one in there, kind of got any questions kind of a deal, that's fine too. But really, all you need to ask for in your contact form is email, phone, and name. Some people say, you don't need to know their address. You don't want to know this. You don't want to. Nope, I can get that later. Because keep in mind, the more information you ask for, the larger your contact us form is, the fewer people will fill it out. It's that simple. The reason no one's filling out your contact us form is because they feel like they don't have time or they don't have a reason to. You're not giving them anything. Now, when I say give them something, I don't mean like pay them to fill out your form. We'll get to that. With a lead generating website, you got to realize that there is a logical path on your website that you want a person to follow. In other words, they start with learning about your product and why they should have it. And you're guiding them down this path. And where they should eventually end up is at the lead, is where they can give their information. Okay, that's our goal. Our goal is to get them to that point where we capture their information. That is the only goal of that website, to generate the lead. And what we want to do is create a, not an obvious, but a kind of logical path through your website that eventually gets them to the screen where you are asking for their information. Customer may not even realize they're going down this path, but that is kind of your goal. Now, what are some of the trades you can give? Because some of y'all are thinking, Eric, I'm not paying people. I'm not paying for leads. Well, you already are. You just may not realize it. So, in the spirit of saving money, here are some ways you can generate leads that cost you basically zero. PDF reports, very easy. When you offer people information that helps them make a more informed decision, they'll happily trade for that. I'll give you a good example. Going back to realtors who want to generate leads. If I had a PDF report, and a PDF, of course, is like, something they can print out, that looks like a document, okay? But they can also view it on the screen too. But a good PDF report might be top 10 mistakes you can't afford to make when choosing a realtor. Or it could be top 10 mistakes you can't afford to make when selling your house. Or it could be 10 things you can do right now to increase the value of your house 20%. I mean, I could come up with 100 of them. But if I was looking to buy or sell a house, I would definitely want to know that. Why? Because it would help me make a better decision. It might even save me money or make me money. So I will happily give you my information for that tip. Follow me? And since what you're offering for the trade is a PDF, it costs you zero, and yet you're getting some good leads. Another one is a free quote. And you've already seen this. Every insurance website out there offers a free quote. And you're saying, oh, that's nice of them. No, the words free quote, it's kind of like, how restaurants have birthday clubs? You realize birthday club is a cover for newsletter signing. Okay, email newsletter sign up. Whenever you see birthday club at a restaurant, it's an email newsletter sign up. Whenever you see free quote on an insurance website, it's a lead. You're giving them a lead. Okay, all quotes are free. No one pays for a quote. Has anyone even thought about that? No, because you're so used to hearing about it. So it's just a different way of saying we're about to ask you for your information. And number three, the number three mistake people make, a poor domain name. Now, a domain name is like your .com, okay? Whatever your address is, it's a something.com or something.org. And I tell people all the time, it better be easy to say, no spelling necessary. At the uncomfortable risk of irritating my wonderful host, I'm not a fan of domain names that are all abbreviations, okay? Because then you have to tell those abbreviations over the phone, okay? And it may be hard for them to understand. So I would rather have a longer domain name, a longer .com that's easy to remember than a shorter one, simply because it has fewer letters, okay? And you shouldn't have to spell it. If you have to spell your domain name out to people, then you may want to choose another. I'm not a big fan of hyphens, the dash. Domain names, .coms can have them in there. You can put a dash in there, but the problem is then people have to type it. And if you put a hyphen in there, you go, well, Eric, the one I wanted wasn't available. So I got the one that has the hyphen in it. Don't do that. Don't do that. Because what'll end up happening is you'll tell people to go to your website and tell them what it is, and they won't type the hyphen, and they'll go to your competitor. Don't use dashes, even though you can. Don't, because if you do, then you're going to have to tell people, don't forget the dash, don't forget the hyphen. Also, keep in mind, there are some people out there that say, oh, I want to get all these different domains. And this used to be a thing, going out and buying a whole bunch of domains and pointing it to one website. You know, I want to get the .net version, the .ch version, the .whatever, because you got an email saying, oh, you don't want to lose the blah, 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 .whatever version of your domain. No. If you're commercial, get .com, get .com, get .com. But Eric, someone else already got the .com I wanted. Then come up with something else, because you can tell people .net all day long and they will type .com. I'm telling you, choose a different one. And I actually I have a video coming up, or a class coming up at some point, where I tell you how to pick it too. Be some good ideas on how to do it. Keep in mind, you should consider a product-based versus company. It doesn't have to be your company name. I mean, think about it this way. How would a law firm do a .com? I mean, what is it? Smith, Gerald, Jones, Crikey.com. Who's going to spell that? It would be better if you had getmybuttoutajail.com. And I know that's kind of funny, but I can remember that better. And I can spell that better. It can be product-based. It doesn't have to be the name of your company. Domain names are case insensitive, which means uppercase, lowercase, doesn't even matter. Keep in mind, the only time case matters is in passwords, okay? But when it comes to email addresses, when it comes to web addresses, it doesn't matter at all. If you have it on you, I want you to pull out your business card. I want you to pull out one of your business cards right now. Hopefully your website address is on it. And I want you to look at it. Chances are, most companies, they put their web address in all lowercase or all uppercase. And I'm here to tell you that is an awful idea. It should be mixed case, okay? Take a look at this example here, mycoolcompany.com. If I had done it all lowercase, it would have been harder for your eyes to distinguish the different words there. But with this, you can easily scan it and see the three words distinctly, because I capitalized the first word, the first letter of each word. Are you seeing what I'm saying? It doesn't make a difference how I put it in. But on my business card, it's easier to read. Okay. If your web address, if your email address is all lowercase or all uppercase, you're just making it hard on people. Oh, you got to watch out for landmines. And there are some serious landmines out there. I once had this lady call me up and she said, Eric, I bought the perfect domain name. I got the perfect .com. And I'm about to start my business and I need you to build a website. And I said, okay. I said, what are you trying to do? I said, what is this business? And she goes, well, it's a place for attorneys to get together and discuss. You know, it's a website where attorneys can get together and talk with each other, and it's going to be great. I'm going to sell advertising and it'll be great. I said, good. I said, so what's this amazing .com you picked for it? And she told me, and remember, I was on the phone. I almost died laughing. And I told her, I said, no, 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 you cannot use this domain name. She goes, but it was available. I already bought it. And I said, do me a favor. I want you to write it down in all lowercase and look at it. So she did. The name of her company was called Lawyers Exchange. And she'd gotten lawyersexchange.com. When she looked at it, she almost freaked out. I'm telling you, people, you need to think about these things before you choose stuff like this. Do not make a mistake like that. The number 4 mistake people make, bad look and feel. Okay, the look and feel of a website is, well, how it looks, the aesthetics, whether it's a pretty site or not, whether it's a professional site or not. You got to realize that a good website is designed around the logo, the shape of the logo, the colors of the logo, everything should be tied to the website. Because remember, and I've taught you this before, what is a logo? A logo is a symbolic representation of your company. And when I see that symbol, I should think your company. I should always assume that. It's kind of like when you see the golden arches, you think McDonald's. Their logo is a symbolic representation, or Nike, or Pepsi, or, you see what I'm saying? Your entire website, and I'll just be honest, your social media, everything should be tied and branded to your logo. You should use the same colors. You should use complementary colors to it. It should tie and reinforce the look and feel. That when people land on your website, they feel like they're in your place of business. It just feels cohesive. It feels consistent. I've even seen situations where you've seen a website and it looks like they just slapped the logo on there and the two aren't connected at all. And it's like, ugh, looks like a 12-year-old designed this. Nothing against 12-year-olds. The domain name can be your logo, okay? It can be your logo. I know back in the .com days, that was very popular. eBay.com, that's their logo. You know what I'm saying? It can be if you have a short one. But if you have a long .com, you may not want to do that. That's a pretty big logo. I'm really not a fan of words in a logo, if possible, because words mean you have to be closer to see what's going on. I like simple logos, like I said, Pepsi, Nike, companies like that. The design object should reflect the company. If you use a bunch of circles in your logo, then guess what? All the art should have circles in it on everything you do. Let a pro pick complementary colors. When I was building websites, the first mistake I ever made, and this was like 20 years ago, first mistake I ever made was asking a customer what colors they wanted. I stopped. Trust me, don't ever ask a customer what colors they want on their website, because to be honest, listen, between me and you, most people don't know what colors go together. They don't know what looks good. I mean, heck, most of us need help picking out clothes in the morning, okay? And when it comes to this, you should always let a good graphic designer handle it. You should always let someone who knows what they're doing pick the colors. Don't let your boss pick the colors. Don't let a committee pick the colors. Let someone with graphic design and an eye for it pick the colors. And remember, customers can smell a cheap template. Okay. In other words, if you go get one of those cheap websites, it's built in 2 minutes, like click and boom, we have a website, like a blow up something. They can see that a mile away. So be careful. This is not something you just want to be cheap with. It really isn't. The look and feel should communicate, my company meets your needs. We are stable. You can trust us. Kind of like what I said earlier. We think like you do. Our website is an extension of our brick and mortar store. So if you do have a brick and mortar location, then whatever look and feel you have in there, if you like it, bring it into the website so that both reinforce each other. Whether I'm in your store or on your site, I feel like I'm in your business. If the website looks totally different than your store, then there's going to be a disconnect. You're going to get no branding in their head. It's going to feel like two different businesses. To be honest, customers really should be your primary goal of impressing, not your boss. That's a hard one to explain to your boss too. Confusing navigation, number 5. Start with the basics. Up there, when I say navigation, I mean like the menu bar. What should be on the menu bar? Well, you should always have a home link. I should always be able to get to the home link. And if your logo's in the upper left where it should be on a website, why should your logo be always in the upper left-hand corner? Because that's where the human eye starts when you land on the page. Your logo should be the first thing I see when your page comes up. And my eye always starts in the top left-hand corner. Don't believe me? Then do a search on Google and you will see that your eye always starts in the top left-hand corner and then it scans to the bottom right corner, looking for either a word, a phrase, a picture that says you're in the right place. So always put your logo in the top left-hand corner. For the menu, you're going to start with the home button because that will always get you home. I can't tell you how often I've been on a website and there is no home button and I couldn't get back. Also, the logo should double as a home button. I should be able to click on your logo and go to the home page of your website. You should have a contact us page, and that's exactly how it should be phrased. Okay, is contact us. You should make it very clear and make it very easy for people to contact you. How many times have you been on a website and you just wanted to contact them? Make it easy. The About Us page. The About Us page, in my opinion, is one of the least useful pages. However, it is required. It's the page that will get the least traffic, but it's also the page that for the few people who go there to see if you're like a good company, what you're about, the story of your company, it's an important page to those people. So it kind of gives you some credibility. So make sure you fill it out correctly and give them a reason to do business with you. Shop now. If you're selling products, that's a big button and it needs to be there. And it needs to say shop now because they've done studies. You will get more clicks if those 2 words are on it than if it simply says products or buy now. Don't you ever have a button that says buy now up in the menu. Oh my gosh. Also, the usage determines order. People ask me all the time, what order do we put our menu in? You start with whatever you think people need to click the most or will click the most, and then go that way. Home is always first, okay? But the rest of them, you can order by that. So shop now, probably be number 2 for a lot of you. Now, should you have a vertical or horizontal menu? You know, most menus go across the top of a website. You know, horizontal, that's pretty default. I'm pretty much a fan of that because when you go down the side, when you go down vertical and you make one piece, almost like an entire column of that page, your menu, basically you've just eaten up screen real estate you will never get back again. And so for the whole page, it'll just be blank over there and all your text is squeezed so it gets longer and people are having to scroll more. I would rather you put the menu at the top and then as that way you have the most space to show your information and that way more of it'll fit without them having to scroll. If y'all have a question, please ask. I feel like I'm giving you my best stuff and hopefully I'm explaining it clearly. But if not, please ask. Number 6, ignoring the fine print. The fine print is the legal stuff. And that's what I'm talking about here, the legal stuff. You got to make sure you own your Oh, we have a question. Let's see. If you're promoting a service business, Oliver asked, would sign up now work for an intro workshop? No. Okay. I would never use sign up now. Okay. Because you haven't given me a reason to. Keep in mind that that's premature. What I would do is I would give if you're trying to promote a session, like let's say this educational session, if I was trying to sell that and get people to sign up for it, you know, then what I would do is give a teaser of it. I would give a taste of it, show them what the speaker can do, give a short video totally for free where they learn something, and then say, hey, you don't want to miss our full presentation, blah, blah, blah. And so what happens is they watch it, they like what they see, they want more, they will sign up and they will happily give you their contact information in the sign up. Okay. Oh, thank you, Brian, for the nice words. Okay. Control your domain name. .com. Okay. And that means you need to own it. A lot of you, when you had your website built, you had your web designer go out and register your .com for you because you didn't know how. They went to GoDaddy or somewhere and they registered it so no one else could use it. So only you would use it. The problem is a lot of these web designers didn't do it right. You see, when you register that with GoDaddy or whomever, you're basically telling them who the responsible parties are and who the legal parties are to this. So that if anyone ever wanted to make a claim to it, there are certain people that, are going to stop that. So what I mean is there is three different people that when you register a .com get put into this record. Okay, there's think of it as like a license or a title, like a car title. One of them is the technical contact, one of them is the billing contact, and one of them is the administrative contact. And the reason GoDaddy and people like that do that is so they can send the bills to the billing contact. If something technical goes wrong or something, they need your tech guy, they can send that to the technical contact. But the most important one is the administrative contact, because that's the owner. That's the person legally who can make decisions for it. You need to make sure that you are the administrative contact on your .com, that you're the boss or the owner of the company is the administrative contact and not your web designer. A lot of web designers mistakenly, sometimes on purpose, put themselves as the administrative contact. And you never even realized it. And then a year goes by and you want to move your website to another place because you don't like the webmaster anymore. Problem is you can't do it. You can't take your .com with you because the webmaster said, nope, sorry, that belongs to me. You need to make sure that you're the administrative contact. And the way you do that is with the who is. It's called a who is search. And just look that up. You can type in whois.godaddy.com and find it. whois.godaddy.com and see if you can find it. And if you're not listed as administrative contact, there's a problem. You could lose your website, not even realize it. Own your website. Make sure that whoever builds your website gives you the intellectual property rights to it. In the state of Texas, and I think New Mexico, actually, whoever builds you a website, even though you paid them for it, technically, legally, they own the intellectual property rights to what they created. Okay? So what you need to do is make sure that in any contract or paperwork you sign, that they waive those rights so that you can take it and have someone else work on it if necessary. Have a privacy policy. You have to have a privacy policy on a website. It is the law. If you ask for personal information, okay, like in your contact us form, you must have a privacy policy. Now, you can just copy and paste this from anyone else. I'll tell you that right now. And you're going, Eric, that's plagiarism. No, copying someone else's privacy policy is you're just copying legalese, okay? Go find a site like yours. Look at the privacy policy. Read through it. Copy it. Paste it onto yours. Have a lawyer look at it just to make sure always, and then you're done. And in basic, all the privacy policy says is that any information you collect will only be used internally and not be sold to someone else. That's all it really states. Starving the search engines, the number 7 mistake. You got to realize that search engines are blind and deaf. They don't understand pictures and they can't listen to audio or video, okay? The only thing a search engine understands is text. And so you need to make sure that you have lots and lots and lots and lots of good text. And we've talked about what that text consists of, okay? And I'm sure we'll be talking about it again in future episodes. So I don't want to spend all this time on how to show up well on Google yet, but I do need you to understand it is one of the big mistakes, basically not having enough text. And each page stands on its own. Don't think you're going to show up for a million different searches on one page, okay? There's no way. It's better to focus one page per subject than to try to put all the subjects on one page and hope you count. And remember, Flash hurts SEO. Flash is kind of a language. It's not even used anymore, but some cheap website builders still use it. And if anyone talks about using Flash on your site, hang up the phone. Number 8, no call to action. Remember, it's not about you, okay? A call to action is telling people what to do, okay, on your website, telling them what to click, telling them where to go, telling them what to fill out. Remember, it's not about you. This website isn't about your boss. It's not about you. It's not about impressing anybody. It's about getting people to do what you want them to do. And that's either generate a lead or generate a sale. That's it. On your website, you need to avoid industry logo. You need to avoid industry Flash. All Flash is, it's a software language. Okay, it's an old software language. I still see it, sadly. So great question, Wendy. Just if you hear them talk about Flash, hang up. That's all. It's just so old, and it's very buggy and very virus ridden, and Google hates it so much you'll never show up. Okay, your web designer will tell you whether there's any Flash on your website. Great question. Avoid industry lingo. You got to remember that there are certain words you use all the time in your business with your other fellow employees that many of us wouldn't understand. And sadly, you probably put some of those words in your website. So when I'm on your website, I'm seeing that industry lingo, and I'm just not, I don't understand. I feel too stupid to even do business with you. So no, you need to dumb it down to a fifth grade level. Your entire website should be written at a fifth grade level. Your goal, back in the old days of when we had an English teacher, you know, we would try to write big words so we could impress her. No, that's not what a website is. Use normal English. You're not trying to make people feel too stupid to do business with you. Remember the trade, we talked about that. Trade them something for the contact information. Use imperatives. An imperative is an active verb. We talked about that last week with power. Remember the power words? Go back to that and watch it. That's what an imperative is. An imperative means you're telling people to do something. Do it now. You say, well, that's not polite. Go back and watch last week if you want my answer to that. I would rather have shop now versus catalog. I would rather, believe it or not, I would even rather have find versus search on a website. If you have a search, change it to find, because find implies success. Search implies you'll be here a while. Think about it. More people will click on find than they will search. All about words. Words have meaning. Have join versus sign up. No one wants to sign up for anything. Use join. Number 9, bad homepage structure. Okay. Your homepage is the first page of your site. It's the main page. It's where you hope most people start. Okay. It is the most important page on the website. You need to understand your bounce rate. It's a statistic, and the bounce rate is a percentage of people that land on a page and don't go anywhere else. They leave immediately. Okay. What you want is people landing on a page and then going to another page. Most people will land on a page, and if they don't see what they want, they will leave. They will bounce off. So you want a low bounce rate. Bounce rate is a percentage. So for instance, if you have a bounce rate of 90%, that means that 90% of the people who land on your homepage or on a page, because every page has its own bounce rate, 90% of the people are landing on that page and they're not clicking on anything. They're leaving. That is why that is the most important statistic. Your goal with the homepage is to get one more click. That's it. Your goal is to convince them to stay. Too many people try to make the homepage do too much. No, your goal is to get one more click. That's it. That's why you need teasers.
I'm sorry, I hate to interrupt. We had a question come through the chat. What was number, Catherine is asking, what was tip 7? And I think, I don't know if we need to, I don't know.
Starving the search engines. Yeah.
Gotcha.
And remember, you'll be getting this entire presentation. So don't feel like you have to write all this down. Okay. Understand your bounce rate. One more click. Teasers, teasers, teasers. And also respect the scroll line. 80% of the first-time visitors to your website, as I already said, will not scroll. So the most important thing people see is the first thing on their screen or the first thing on their phone, because most people will decide whether to stay without ever scrolling. Also, where's your phone number? Your phone number better be on every page of your website. Well, Eric, it's the internet. I want them to email me or contact me. I don't care. How many times you've been on your website and all you wanted to do on a website and all you wanted to do was call them. All you wanted to do was find a phone number and you gave up because they made it too hard. Guess what? That website just lost a lead. I don't care if it's high tech, low tech. I want the lead. Okay. Phone number at the top of every page. Come on now. Take a look at this page. This is a good example of well, good design. It's easy to read. Phone numbers at the top. They have their menu bar. They have teasers. I mean, it works, and everything is tied to the logo. I don't have a lot of time to stay here, but just understand when it all comes together, it looks national. Number 10, dancing raisins. You never want dancing raisins. A dancing raisin is something put on the website simply because someone thought it was cute and it serves no purpose. You got to realize that every design choice, you've got to ask the question, does it move me closer to my goal? You've got to ask the question, is adding this picture of a kitten going to make people more likely to contact me, less likely to contact me, or not make a hill of beans? And unless the answer is more likely, you don't put that on there. You do not put a picture on a website simply because it's cute. Everything has a purpose. Remember, we're building a lead generation machine, a product selling machine. Keep it efficient. Create a logical path to action that they can follow. And remember, the rule of 3 clicks. If I can't find something on your website within 3 clicks, I'll go somewhere else. Design your pages to where they can be scanned. Use bolding and use italicizing to help people scan easier. If all you do is have one big single paragraph thing, make your paragraphs no longer than 3 sentences each. People need to break it. How many times have you seen one long paragraph and you're like, I'm not reading that? It's because you can't scan it. Don't overload your pages. Break them up into multiple pages. Number 11, they'll say, oh, you said there's only 10. I'm giving you a couple of bonuses. Number 11 mistake, self-starting music. Never, ever, ever have a website where when I land on it, it starts playing music. You might think that's, everyone knows that, they don't. There was a Chamber of Commerce in South Texas where if you go to their website, it plays banjo music. And they asked me what I would do different. And I would say, turn that off. And they said, we can't because the mayor's son played that song. You got to realize most internet searching is done by people at work. And when music starts playing through their speakers, what's it basically say? Hey, boss, I'm not working. What happens when you go to a website and it starts playing something that you didn't expect? You leave immediately. Trust me, websites that have self-starting music have the high bounce rates because people hate it. Also, the other time people are searching is when they're at home after hours, after everyone's in bed. And so if music starts blaring through the speakers, I mean, don't ever have self-starting music. Always give me a play button because to be honest, self-starting music is great for killing your traffic and that's it. Finally, number 12, ignoring mobile devices. Does your site even work on a mobile phone? What does it look like on a mobile phone? Do I have to zoom in to read anything on it? Is it basically the computer version, but a smaller screen? Do I have to scroll left to right to even read it? How long does it take to load? Are we using pictures that are so big that when I'm out in the boonies, it takes forever for your website to even come up? Can I click on a phone number and it call it? Or do I have to like memorize it and then go type it in my keypad? I know there was a lot, and I know it's 1:59. But are there any questions that we have not covered? I wanted to get all of that in because it was so important, people.
This is the last call for questions, but I did want to tell everyone that we do have Eric Spellman coming up on Tuesday, and he's going to talk about sneaky ways to spy on the competition. Sneaky but legal
Yes,
ways.
make sure you add the legal word.
I did. I
Sneaky
forgot to add it.
illegal.
Sneaky and legal. Last call for questions. I know we're keeping you guys, but this is important information. But I want to tell you, if you do have any questions, bring them to Tuesday, and I'm sure we can slip them in for everyone. So remember, follow nmsvdc.org for all our events. So,
And if you want to watch any of my previous stuff, they're all there.
They
The
are.
entire
They are.
presentation.
Absolutely. All right. That's it for today. Thanks, everybody. You guys have a great day. Excellent presentation. Thanks, Eric, from Robert.